this to you guys. Okay, perfect. All right. Hey, Jason, this is Misty with the First Responder Life Insurance. The life insurance you had requested more information on. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm calling quick. I didn't mean to catch you off guard. I'm calling to get your birthday. That way I can start working on some of your options. May I get your birthday?
2975.
2975. Perfect. Thank you for that. What do? You fire, police?
I'm a fire medic.
Oh gosh. Thanks for what you do. I could never do what you guys do. I'm married to a fire medic. My husband tells me some very disturbing calls, so thanks for everything you do. I just have to gather some really basic information, and then I'm going to be able to send over your options. Jason, any history of heart, stroke, cancer, or diabetes?
No,
Perfect. Okay, we're off to a good start. Any prescriptions you take daily?
no, nothing daily.
Nothing daily. Anything you've been prescribed the last 5 years?
Meloxicam.
Meloxicam. Okay, when was that and what was it for?
Inflammation for my back.
Okay. And are you taking it now?
Take it occasionally.
Do you remember when they first prescribed that?
Like 4 years ago.
Okay. Perfect. Any surgeries last 3 years?
No,
No. Okay, so no surgeries, no heart, stroke, cancer, no diabetes. Any other medical conditions I need to know about?
no.
All right, last question, I promise. Roughly, how tall are you and how much do you roughly weigh?
5'8", 170.
Okay, 170. Okay, so you got a great build. Perfect. Okay. And then do you have a rough idea how much coverage you're looking for, or
300,000.
300? Okay. Is that just to pay off like a mortgage or?
Yes.
Okay. I always like to ask just because I don't want to over-insure you, but I also want to make sure we're getting this set up for you, that we have plenty of, what we need to fit your budget and your needs. Perfect. And then who'd you have in mind? Is this, you setting this up for your wife, kids?
Yeah, for my wife.
Smart man. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna start working on this. It'll take me a little bit because we work with several carriers, so I'm gonna actually run you through. I'm gonna run you through the first responder one, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't qualify for their plan. And usually theirs comes in hands down the best, but I will cross-reference with the other ones just to make sure that there isn't, a better one out there for you as well. I'm actually a broker, so I work with over 30 carriers. So the cool thing is I can shop everything for you. That way you don't have to worry about when I give you the rates, whether it's the best of the best. Take all that guesswork out for you. Any questions for me?
No.
Perfect. So today's Tuesday. If I send these over to you today, do you think you could look at those before Thursday so that we could regroup on Thursday?
Sure, just text it to me.
Okay, yep, I'll text you and I'll email you both. So
Okay.
when I shoot you the email, I'll also send you a text letting you know that I've sent that. That way you can go look for it. I always include my email just in case if it does go to spam, because sometimes there will be a link in there, so it may flag it and send it to your spam. That way you can search for my email with my email address. All right?
Okay.
Perfect. One last question, I guess. Sorry. Do you have a spouse that might need coverage?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And when's her birthday?
11/7/75.
Okay. Any health conditions with her?
None known. She's allergic to doctors.
Perfect. That means she's probably going to come in elite. So believe it or not, in this industry, that's a reward, not a burden. And then do you know roughly how tall and how much she weighs?
5 foot, 105.
She's actually 5'2", 105, but I'll let her know that you
You're
shaped off of her.
5'2" with shoes.
All right. Any questions on that, guys? And I want you guys do you see how I'm not reading anything? It just flows. It should just flow. I want you to practice it until it's so comfortable that it flows like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not to the comfortable where you feel like you still got to read, you haven't practiced it enough. That will also help it when you get somebody who's a one-off, or pardon my French, someone who's an ass, because sometimes, some of the cops we get can be very short. It's not going to throw you off because you're comfortable with what you're saying. So it's just going to flow. So now Jason and I, for those of you who know us, we are polar opposite. I mean, polar opposite on everything. We are like the epitome of opposites attract. So this is why I was like, well, now I'll do it his way. So you can hear his version and how he does his qualifying. Look at him. He's like, what? He's been doing this a lot longer than me, so there's no reason why he shouldn't flow. He's just a stubborn one. All right, so now I get to be the client. All right, give me your pitch.
Ring, ring. Hello.
Hi, Christy. How can I help you?
Wait a minute. I'm calling you.
Yeah, this is Misty. How can I help you?
Hey, this is Jason with the First Responder Program. I'm just calling you to ask you for your birth date so I can get some quotes over to you.
11/7/75.
So 11/7/75.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
I'm a licensed life insurance broker.
Okay. Have you been to the hospital or had any kind of medical conditions in the past 3 years?
No.
Do you take any medication on a regular basis?
I take metformin.
You take metformin. So are you diabetic type 1 or type 2?
I think I'm type 2.
Type 2. Okay. Well, this question always comes up. Was your A1C under 7 recently, your last reading?
Yes, it was 6.5.
Okay. When was the last time you went to the doctor? They're going to ask that.
August last year, I think, August or September.
So August of 23. Okay. I've made a note of that. Do you take any other kind of medications? Are there any additional meds? Do you take insulin or anything like that?
No.
With diabetes, when were you diagnosed? It's important. Some of the insurers ask that.
4 years ago.
Okay, so 4 years ago, so 2020. Any other medical conditions, hospitalizations, or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so I'm a broker, so I'm going to shop with several carriers, including the First Responder Program. We want to be able to get you the best rate, so I'm going to plug in some information, and I'll email you and text you what your rates are, and I'll reach back out to you and say 2 days, Thursday.
There's what time?
What time works best for you?
Afternoon.
Afternoon. So let's just say 3 o'clock. I'll reach out to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you have a spouse or a family member that needs coverage?
Definitely, yeah. My husband definitely needs covered.
I'll be happy if you'll send me his birth date too, or just let me know his date of birth and his name. I'll run a quote for him as well.
2975, and his name is Jason.
Okay. So I'll reach out to you, Misty, on Thursday at 3.
Okay, perfect.
Have a good one.
Thanks, you too. One thing I'm gonna call him out on, you didn't get my height and weight.
Oh, I forgot.
Especially being diabetic. I could be 5'1" and 300 pounds.
You're right. That's where I send a text and ask again. I always miss things.
So just from those two, I'm gonna start and just round robin. Dylan, what did you pick up on that? And what questions outside of would you maybe have asked or handled different?
The only thing that I noticed, I was always trained to just, when you're setting up a time to re-meet with somebody, it's just, hey, are you a morning person, you an afternoon person? Or hey, are you less busy in the morning or less busy in the afternoon? Something along those lines.
Perfect. And that's good. Okay. Carla, I know your brain spanking new, but that's okay because you get right in. We're diving you right in. What did you see that you liked, and what do you think maybe you would have changed or added?
I like the way the conversation flowed, and it just seems very natural.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I would have just tried to build a little bit more rapport, but I also know it's important to keep the conversation kind of short. So
Yeah, and that initial call, but you do want to, you're right, you do want to get that rapport in there. That's why I was like, are you fire, are you police? Always throw that one line. I don't care if they're fire, police, I don't care if they're dispatch, I don't care if they're the garbage collector. Man, I couldn't do what you do. It's a great thing you guys are out there doing. People always want recognition. Regardless of what they do, they want that recognition. Miriam, how about yourself?
yeah. What I noticed is that it was so smooth and there was no objections. I mean, what if the person comes up with an objection like, it's not a good time, or, oh, I never requested that information.
Yep, those are great. So we're gonna go over
Or,
those,
you
'cause
know,
you will have some of those. So yep, that's part of what we're gonna go over today. And Kevin, what about yourself?
yeah,
The one thing I just was just, there's a bunch of questions, okay? Medical questions you have to ask when you're trying to pre-qualify somebody. You guys were short and abbreviated on your questions. I apparently think that my feeling is that you were just highlighting the ones that are the most important questions. Is that correct?
So that's pretty much those are my qualifying questions. That's all I need to do the quotes. I need to know if they've had heart, stroke, cancer, big ones, cannot skip over those. Then it's heart of anything, whether it's heart attack, a heart stent, AFib, any kind of heart related issue. Because some
Okay.
carriers ask about heart attack, some ask about like the large one we wrote yesterday. What was it? She was just right under $4,000. She was diagnosed with AFib last year. Other than that, she was perfectly healthy, paramedic.
And she-
Perfectly,
Poker.
yeah.
I mean-
And that is one thing I'm so bad about asking. If you notice, neither one. of
I
you
was
said
just gonna bring it up. That's why I was like, oh, hey, like,
it. Yep.
neither.
I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm so bad about that because I've only really worked first responders the last 3 years. That's been my bread and butter. Most first responders do not smoke because they know the health risks. So I'm so bad about asking that. To the point, Jason, I quoted that lady, I lined it all up on Saturday, and she said, yep, I'm on 24-hour shift, call me Monday, let's do this. And I think I quoted her like 278, and then Jason's bringing me the laptop going, she's coming up 312, what the heck?
I had to put her on mute and I'm
I
like, what the heck?
I was like, you put something
311.
wrong, because the quote I gave her was 278, and he's like, well, she was a smoker. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I didn't have her as a smoker. I didn't do that. So
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell you I'm not perfect either. I make mistakes. We grow with them.
Yeah.
You know,
So how many what are your top questions again? I'm just want to highlight these real quick so I can get right to the point.
and that's
it's
why
just
we're recording this.
basic
Go back and
organ-
watch.
Heart, stroke, cancer, diabetes.
Yep.
So
Any
just think
persisting-
respiratory breathing problems and then heart problems, any
Okay.
surgeries, are you diabetic? That's endocrine.
Okay.
But yeah, anytime you ask heart problems, definitely throw out there, do you take any medications for high blood pressure? Do you take any medication for AFib? Have you
Blood
had a
thinner.
stroke?
Blood thinners are a knockout for quite a few term carriers. So
Right, are you on blood
You gotta
thinners?
ask about that.
And so they'll tell you, oh yeah, the medication that I take, do you have high cholesterol? That's another question that comes up. So, they'll either be on losartan or something else. But it's just getting in the habit of that. And then Kevin, what'll happen is you'll run into, by discovery of asking those questions, just going through your basic like ailments, that you'll run into something like this. And this is actually somebody that they sent us. You see how big that list is.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Wow.
the
Gerald's wife. Yeah.
on.
Yep. So funny thing with that guy, so the husband on that one, that's the guy I called, and he's like, yeah, I'm healthy. I don't have anything. And then I was like, oh, wow, you don't have high blood pressure? Because almost all first responders have high blood pressure, which is understandable given the job they do.
Except me.
Yeah, you've been to that. And and then he was like, oh yeah, I have high blood pressure. I was like, okay, do you have high cholesterol too? Because sometimes they go hand in hand. He was like, oh yeah, I have that. And I was like, okay, so 2 minutes ago you had nothing. So sometimes you do have to drill down. And we're gonna go into drill down questions here next, like kind of to Jason's point. And then, it turned out that guy was like, yep, and I have osteo something, I had fibromyalgia. I was like, you know what? Just send me a list of everything that you take daily. So he sent me his and his wife's, and yeah, literally when we printed them out, they were both a full page long, and I'm like, this is why you gotta drill down, because this guy was like, oh yeah, no, I don't have anything. The quotes I would have sent him based off that would have been so inaccurate.
And also, you want to drill down, because all of these discovery questions are going to identify medications and ailments that they're on. And let's be frank, I had this conversation with Misty yesterday. we're currently in a much better situation than we were at our previous predecessor because we have so many good options right now, and we really have
Great
good
carrier.
carriers that we did not have. I mean, we were talking yesterday about the business over the past 3 years that slipped through our fingers because we just couldn't cover them, and that's not the case here. Every time that we're hearing somebody's got a complicated medical case, think about it. They're shopping. They know they've got medical conditions. People like to lie. They forget. They think by not disclosing it, it's not going to come up in their med bureau. But the advantage is, as long as they're still talking to you, they know that coverage is hard to get, and every ailment is honestly a higher premium, which is going to pay you more.
Yeah, that's how we're throwing up some of these bigger, apps. So I know some people, Carla and, Miriam, all of you guys are pretty new. Sometimes, when you're new and you don't get that guy who's healthy, it's easy to get in that mindset when you get, when you used to get a decline, here you shouldn't get really declines because that quoting tool is like priceless because it literally has been accurate. And every carrier we've sent, it's recommended and we've sent, they've gotten approved. So that's good, but you have to have
Really?
information.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that toolkit made life a lot easier. Now, I'm just curious, where did you cover the person yesterday with the
Baltimore
AFib?
Life.
Baltimore
Life.
Life.
And she came in
Baltimore.
preferred, didn't she? Baltimore Life, it's crazy that Kevin, that's the one that trained us in Orlando on the big screen the first day.
Mhm.
They do a pre-qualification, so it'll tell you whether they're going to qualify before you even do the application. Like it's a 2-part application. So you have to do a pre-qualify, and you can't go into the application until you do the pre-qualify on that one. And then it
That's-
tells you if it's green light all across the board, there's no reason why they're not going to get approved. Unless you select the wrong answer, like Jason accidentally selected the wrong thing on one of her questions. And I'm like, there's no way she got declined because she was green lighted. He had to call the carrier and they're like, well, you selected yes. And he's like, oh, shoot, that was supposed to be no. So if that happens, it's fine. You call the carrier and they're fixing it. But it'll give you a green light. And if they're green light, they're good. They've already pulled the medical, they're getting approved. If it's yellow, it's saying, we're going to do a little bit deeper dive. They might get flagged for something. If it's red, they're not going to get approved. It won't even let you do the application. And if they get that red, it does not show up as a decline. So, because people don't want declines either, because like Mutual of Omaha for their term, one of their qualifying questions, have you ever been declined by another carrier? If you automatically check yes on that box, they've already got 1 point against them with that carrier. So if they have more medical stuff, they're probably not going to get in that plan because they're just one of those carriers that doesn't like to see declines.
Baltimore Life is a very easy application. Misty posted on the GroupMe on how to access that link. Just familiarize yourself with it. It's like 2 clicks and you'll remember it once you do it once. It's really easy to find that proprietary product. And it's literally only like 5 or 6 screens. And you can either choose it's DocuSign at the end via text. So it'll text them a link, and I suggest that you utilize that over the email. It texts them the link, it texts you the link, then you go through DocuSign. It's 3 little simple signatures. You draw, your signature on the first one, and then you click finish, and then you just select it through the next 2. And then it sends it off to the client. They authorize and sign it, and then you get a text that all parties have signed. It's real easy.
Super easy, yeah. So that's for the A priority. So there's A priority and there's I priority. A priority is proprietary. We have access to that one because, I threw up a ton of volume last year. So we got that tool. But that's the one on our training site and on the GroupMe. Get familiar because that application is not with their other products because it's proprietary. And it is hard to find if you don't go and look in advance. And you don't want to be on the phone with the client and be like, I can't find the application. And I provide, if you try to improvise and just say, well, I'm just going to do I provide instead, it's not the same rates. It's not the same underwriting. So you're not going to get the same result. And it's super, super important. Make sure you're using the quoting tool because these proprietary ones, like Mark has already been warned by Adam because he put 4 apps through Prosperity that did not get approved. And Prosperity was like, we think we should shut Mark's link down. He needs more training on underwriting. Like, like they will shut you down because they don't want bad business or like they don't want stuff trying to get pushed through. That's why we have the quoting tool. You got to make sure you're asking all the questions because you don't want to lose the proprietary products because that's going to be your bread and butter.
Yep, amen to that.
Because to Jason's extent, you know, at Symmetry, we couldn't, if we had really complicated cases, we had AIG and that was it. But they had to be like age 47 and above.
Mhm.
So if you had a 30-year-old who had health complications, you could give them an accident plan. That was it. And
You know, they wanted the easy, simple business. And I mean, quite frank, everybody wants a simple, easy, you know, instant approval app. But the reality is the harder they are to insure, you're kind of in a niche there. You know, they're not able to go to everybody, and not everybody's going to spend the time to go through and try to find the proper coverage for them. So I think it's an advantage. Her and I definitely recognize the amount of business that slipped through the cracks over the past 3 years.
that's almost like $6,000 in 2 apps.
Yeah.
Healthy people. And guys, those ones, they don't lapse because they don't let those lapse
You can't get coverage.
because they know that it's hard to get coverage. So you don't have your Baltimore Life yet, Miriam? I'll look into yours.
Misty,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have Baltimore Life either, but you had said I got to go back into Sure LC.
Yeah,
Either
if you
you
don't,
did or
if you
Adam
don't,
did.
yeah, request it.
I went
Yeah,
back
they're
in-
not gonna
I went back
process
in-
it.
I went back into Sure LC yesterday afternoon and I couldn't find where the Baltimore Life was at.
So then you should be able to go up if it's like the old Sure LC and you can go up in the right corner and you can hit request carriers and put it in a request for it.
Bingo. All
Or
right.
shoot Adam a text and let him know that it's not on there. But make
No
sure that
problem.
you're really double checking first because Adam's getting
Yep.
frustrated with everyone reaching out to him with every silly little
I
question.
get it.
You know, he's a busy guy too.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to ask and have that dialogue going about all the medical conditions. Because let's be frank, I mean, none of us likes to get a cold call or someone trying to sell us something. But when you're having a conversation about medical history and medications, and you're saying, "Hey, I just need your birthday, so that I can get some quotes back to you," that's not cramming a product down somebody's throat and selling them. They're more open to just talking to you because you're not trying to close them on something. And it's building rapport. That's why Misty's had such success. It's kind of a hands-off, let me get to you approach. Granted, the lead generation system, you know, they are actually looking and quoting, but you know, we think of this as no different than your garage door breaks and you're going to pick up the, you know, Google and look for the first guy that picks up the phone, and then you're going to keep talking to him until he comes to your house. So I mean, that analogy is pretty much the same as what we do. But don't be afraid to ask them and just talk to them about all of their medical history, because you're not closing them or selling them on something, and you're actually showing them that you care and you're trying to find them the right coverage. And that ammunition, let me tell you, when it comes to premium time, like yesterday afternoon when I put the phone on mute and I looked at Misty and I'm like, what the heck? You told me 270 something. This is 311. What do I tell her? So I got back on the phone and I was like, hey, I hate, you know, I'm sorry to inform you, but did you tell Misty that you were a smoker? I don't believe Misty had you listed as a smoker. She goes, oh my, what does that mean? I was like, well, it's 311. Your quote comes in now because we quoted you as a non-smoker. And so we can do one of two things. I didn't even have to finish that sentence. The one of two things that I was going to suggest was we can reduce coverage to meet your, you know, premium budget. And her response immediately was, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, which goes to the point, don't ever prejudge your clients, because originally when that lady reached out to me, I was at Symmetry. So the most I could get her for her whole life was 40,000. So I did the hybrid 40,000 with accident. She reached back out to me and she said, is 40,000 the most I can get on level coverage? She goes, because I'd rather have a higher level coverage and do without the accident. And I said, well, actually, yeah, we have a new carrier. I can take you up to 70. I can take you up to 150,000. But if we stay under 75,000, we don't have to do a medical exam, because Baltimore Life, if you read the fine print, you can go up to 150,000 on their whole life. But if you go above $75,001, now it's a medical exam required. So keep that in mind. Try to stay under 75 if you don't want to do a medical exam. And she was like, okay. I sent her the rates and She was like, I'm looking at the 75,000. I was like, "Ooh, okay, that's 278 a month." And then to Jason's point, 312 was comfortable for her. So don't prejudge your clients too, because you don't know what their budget is. You don't know how long they've been shopping. You don't know how important it is to them. Someone who tells me, yep, I'm willing to pay 312 a month, I know that's a solid deal.
And they also know that with their medical history, if you've done if you've done a good job of getting all the medical history, when push comes to shove in the end, when they're trying to opt out of coverage, now you've got leverage. You're able to use their medical history politely against them, letting them know, hey, listen, this is the best deal. I'm a broker. This is what the market is for someone with your medical history, and some coverage is better than nothing. So let's just talk about, so then you lead them down that rabbit hole of, do I need to reduce coverage? Do I need to go accident only? Do I need to do, accident plus a lower amount of coverage? It just gives you options. And now that you have that medical info, you're able to talk with them.
So let's dive in a little bit more on the deeper questions on the big ones. So if someone says, oh, yep, I do have cancer, or I've had cancer, these are the drill down questions you need to ask. Great, Miriam, what kind of cancer did you have? And then the next thing because some cancers, like prostate cancer, very, very common among firemen, not a huge deal. Actually, there's term plans that will take that. So not as huge of a deal. Somebody who has had lymphoma, pretty big deal. Skin cancer, not a big deal. So then you got to ask, cancer, what kind of cancer? When was your last treatment? Not when were you cancer free, but when was your last treatment? Because sometimes you may be cleared. They may say cancer's gone, but you may still be on preventative treatments. And most of the carriers go 2 to 5 years from the last treatment.
And that's why I said 18 months ago, I was muted. I wanted to see, because I sort of feel like you have to be at least 2 years out of the treatment.
Yep.
If not 5. So when they say 18 months, let's say, I'm just pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a guaranteed treatment? Is that, guaranteed coverage, or is it a final expense?
Probably gonna be
Or
graded.
where do you go?
It'd probably be Baltimore Life or Great Western graded.
Graded,
Yeah.
meaning they have to wait for 2 years
Right, if they
before
pass
they,
away
they
and-
should live. They should live for 2 years to be covered. Otherwise, whoever is their beneficiary would get the premiums back.
Plus
Is that what it means
10%.
when you say
Yeah.
graded?
Yep. Plus whatever the percentage is for that carrier. Most of them are 8 to 10%. So it's all the premiums back plus 8 to 10%, which is easy to sell.
Plus 8 to 10%.
Yep. Whatever the carrier percentage is, and it'll tell you. Those for me are easy to sell. Because if I'm trying to sell you, if you tell me I have cancer and I'm putting you in a graded plan, I'm like, Miriam, this is a graded plan, which means, if you do pass in the first 2 years, your family's there, it's not going to pay out the 30,000. It's going to pay back all your premiums plus 10%. So it's still a win, because if you were to park your money in the bank, you're going to make what, 0.5%? So there's no risk for you in this plan, because if you do pass away, your family's getting all their money back. So it costs them nothing. Plus they've earned 8 to 10%, which is better if you were to put your money in the bank. Now, if it's an accidental death though, in that first 2 years, it's still going to pay a full amount. Most of the graded plans, if you do die of an accident death, it will pay the full amount.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. So it's only graded when
the
it comes
health.
to cancer.
For the health.
But if they die of any other cause,
Not any other
or
cause.
it has to be
An
accidental.
Yep, only accident.
That's
If
good
you're
to
in a
know.
car accident, it's gonna pay, and you have 25,000 and you're in year 1, it's gonna pay 25,000 because it was an accident. So I always tell them, look, and once you get past that 2 years, then it's gonna pay full amount. Now we get 5
Right.
years and we're outside the look back window. If they're younger, I always say, look, we built up a good cash amount. We've got a good cash. We can take the cash that you built in this plan. Now you're outside that look back period for some of these other carriers that I can put you in a better plan. So this is not going to be your permanent plan. This is your plan right now to make sure your family has that protection we're looking for. Because right now, this is the only carrier that's going to consider you. I tell them that, so they know, stop shopping. This is the only carrier that's gonna consider you.
Yeah, and then maybe 2 years down the line, you can shop around for her once she's out of that 2 years or 5 years, depending on which carrier accepts what.
Yep.
Then you can have a regular sort of not a graded level, normal
Yeah.
kind
and
of
you're gonna-
coverage.
Because it's gonna be an exchange at that time, they'll get their cash equivalent sent to them, and you can use that to pay down their next premiums. So,
Cash equivalent. I'm not familiar with that. Tell me more. This is
because it's a
interesting.
whole life plan, so when it's a whole life plan like that, it's gonna build a cash value. So when they're building that cash value, that's why these carriers ask, are you replacing? Because if you're replacing a
right.
whole life, you have to put them in a better plan. You can't replace them and put them in an equal plan, because then you're violating insurance rules, because it's protecting that client to make sure you're doing the right thing. So you have to do a 1035 exchange is what it's called. And then it's
Yes.
and then they'll get a check mailed to them for whatever their cash equivalent. It'll give them an option. It'll say, do you want to use premiums paid up or have the cash sent to you? So I've only had to do an exchange once, and we had the cash sent to the client. And then when she got that check, she used it to pay for her term plan that she was able to get, because she was in a bad plan, but it built cash. But she was paying like, and this is where if you take whole life out too young, it's actually expensive. You pay more for the plan than the plan actually pays out. So kind of got to think about it. So for those are the drill down questions for cancer. Now, if they're diabetic, you really got to drill down. And Jason, that's why I said I was diabetic, because I'm not diabetic. But you got to ask, okay, great. You know, Carla, are you type 1 or type 2? Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't. In type 1, always on insulin. So if you hear type 1, just know automatically on insulin. You don't have to ask, are you on insulin? You know they are. If they're not sure, or they tell you type 1 or they tell you type 2, great. Carla, are you on insulin, or what do you take to control? That's when they're going to list. They're going to tell you. If they say on insulin, on average, how many units do you take a day? When was your last A1C reading? That is important, because if it's over 8, some carriers are not going to consider you. How long ago were you diagnosed? Because some carriers, if you're under age 30, won't consider you. Prosperity said on their training call, diagnosed before age 50, don't try. They will not even consider you. So it's important to ask that, you know, how long ago were you diagnosed, so you know what age they were diagnosed. Are they on insulin? What was their A1C? What medications are they taking? And what is your height and weight? 100% need that. When it comes to heart, if someone says, well, I didn't have a heart attack, but I did have a mild heart issue. I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, like talk to me about this mild heart issue, because that one comes up a lot.
Medications do you take? Meds
I'm
will tell
like,
you.
so for me, I'm always like, I dive right in. I'm like, so did you have any stints put in, or I dive right in. I'm like, so do you have any stints? Because that's something you need to know.
If they're on stents, they're going to be on some sort of a thinner.
Yep. That's why I'm asking.
That goes hand in hand. You're always placed on a thinner. Sometimes they don't place them on a thinner, and they keep them on aspirin daily.
Baby aspirin, 80 milligrams.
Yep. And then I'll ask how long ago, because that also matters. Any other reoccurrences? Like, was it one mild heart attack? Was it, you know, were you like my grandpa? You had 18 times you were life flighted, like, because it's guaranteed issue all day long. Same with stroke. Was it a mild stroke? Does it say stroke? Like, talk to me. Like, some people say, oh, I had a mild stroke.
They might be alluding to a mini stroke, which is what they call a transient ischemic attack, TIA. They resolve within a couple of minutes. They're not technically a stroke. But then again, it's really going to depend on what pops up in the med bureau.
What they put in their notes, yeah. How they coded
How
that.
the doctor, you know, narrated, wrote it. So
those are the biggest drill down questions for those. And then prescriptions, like we kind of went over, just make sure, like if they tell you, oh, I'm not on anything. Oh, Like I'll throw it out, oh, you're not even on high blood pressure. Wow. And sometimes people will be like, oh, well, yeah, no, I am on high blood pressure. Oh, okay. Well, how many prescriptions are you taking for that? Sometimes you
You
gotta
gotta
pull
ask
out of them.
two. I asked 2 or 3 different ways. Even one of my coworkers yesterday that I was quoting, every time I sent him the text with the quotes, these quotes are assuming that you haven't had any recent diagnoses, medication changes, or been hospitalized in the past 2 years. I literally sent that to a friend of mine because people forget. So I have to ask like 3 different ways just to verify that they're not on something.
Yeah, and it's not that
Yeah,
they're
and if they're
lying,
on one
just-
thing.
Yeah, they just sometimes people are like, oh, no, I'm healthy. And in their mind, to Jason's point earlier, they are healthy because they take like a meal plan prescriptions. Like, so they feel healthy, but that doesn't mean they are healthy. So who wants to be the first 2 volunteers to try to role play? And
I
it's
can
gonna
be
be
the
ugly and
client.
fumbly, and so just expect it. And it's okay.
Hmm.
I think I can be a client and I can throw in a few objections if it's okay.
All right, so who wants to do it with Miriam? Who wants to be
Um,
her agent?
I'll give it a
Hi,
try.
Kevin.
All
Hi,
right.
Kevin.
Hi, Miriam. All right, here we go. You say ring, ring. No, I say ring, ring,
No, you
ring,
say,
ring, ring,
hi.
ring. Hi, this is
Hi.
Miriam.
Yes, who's this?
Well, happy Tuesday. This is Kevin Lee with Legacy Protection Insurance, calling in regards to the information that you had requested for life insurance coverage. Wanted to find out if I could ask you a few questions so we can at least get the ball rolling here.
I didn't ask for anything.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Sorry. I've had people tell me I didn't ask for anything. So
Oh,
I
I
know
got you.
it's like the extreme.
Oh, okay. Well, so you are Miriam. I got an email. You requested and got the phone number as well. Requested life insurance coverage.
Yeah, but I already got it.
Okay. Well, Misty, I'm at a loss at this one. I don't know what to do. I thought we were just anyway.
So here's how I would handle that one. I'd be like, okay, well, something must have prompted Miriam. Like, this is the email I have. This is the phone number. That's you, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna say, yeah. I'm like, okay, so something must have prompted that you clicked on this, and maybe you did it by accident, but something maybe that's your inner self telling you that maybe it's time to review your policy. That maybe, depending on how long ago you took that plan out, I'll be the first to tell you as a broker, COVID made a lot of insurance companies revamp their policies and procedures. So if we could get you a better rate or, better coverage, is that something you're open to looking at?
Okay.
I mean,
All right.
it was maybe it was your inner self telling you, hey, it's time to make sure we review our policy and make sure we still have the best of the best.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
What do you got?
We'll take it from there. All right. Well, thank you very much, Miriam. We just wanted to find out. I wanted to follow up with you to make sure that you are still looking for the pricing. But now that you're interested in hearing more, so I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
What is your current height and weight?
5'3", 125 pounds.
Okay. Do you have any pre-existing medical conditions at all?
No.
Have you ever been diagnosed with heart disease, cancer, excluding skin cancers in the past 10 years? Okay, that's good.
No.
Are you currently on any prescriptions, medications that you're taking on a daily basis?
Yes, I take depression medication.
Depression medication? Okay. What is the type or the brand that you're taking?
Lexapro,
Okay.
5 milligrams.
Per day?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Have you ever undergone any surgeries or medical procedures in the last 5 years?
Not in the last 5 years.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see here. Do you smoke cigars or tobacco of any products at all?
Never.
No tobacco. Okay. Do you consume alcohol? If you do, how much alcohol do you consume? No?
No.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Well, it helps me a great deal. Sounds like you're pretty healthy, which you
Yeah.
got a lot going on for you there. Have you thought about how much coverage do you have right now and how much coverage do you think you would need?
I think I had like 100,000 and that was, but I wanted to have like 300.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely. What I could do is quote you on 100,000, perhaps 200,000 and 300,000, give you a good example of what it would cost you for the coverage. And of course, you can take your pick on whatever way you would like to go. Would that work for you?
So yeah, what are my premiums gonna be? What's my monthly premium?
Well, that's exactly what I'm going to be getting into. I'm a broker and we work with over 30 insurance carriers. So I'm going to be shopping around for the best rates for you to make sure we can get you the best rate. Let me ask you
Thank
another
you.
question. Do you have a spouse that you'd like to cover as well?
My husband has his insurance through his job,
Okay.
so no,
it-
not for the moment.
Okay. Anybody else, like children, that you need coverage for?
My son is 15. I don't know if I can cover him. Can we cover him with me, or I don't know if he's covered
cer-
with his dad.
You certainly can. If he's covered with his father, that's awesome. But if he's not, I can at least get you pricing on child carrier or child rider, I
Okay.
should say, if that'll work for you. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, Miriam, I'm going to shop around, get you the best rates, get you a rate as far as also on the coverage for your son for a child rider. And I'll get back with you. What's a good day for you to meet sometime this week to go over some of the findings here, the figures?
So what's today? Tuesday?
Yes, today is Tuesday.
Maybe tomorrow or Friday.
Tomorrow or Friday? Okay. What about, well, you can do it tomorrow because I can have it to you within a couple hours.
Okay. Okay.
One thing I do need to ask you too, I think I failed to ask, is what is your birthday?
September 6th, 1970.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. That gives me pretty much all I need right now for the most part. Looking forward to meeting with you tomorrow. So what time again tomorrow is good for you? And I'll send you an invite as well.
How about 3 p.m.
3 p.m. in your Eastern time?
Eastern?
Perfect. All right, Miriam. Sounds awesome. Looking forward to potentially going to work for you.
Thank you
You
so
will-
much, Kevin.
Have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye-bye now.
First,
Yeah.
Kevin, that was so much better than yesterday.
You're gonna be fine.
I'm amazed.
There's a couple of things I would have drilled down on.
Yeah.
When she told you depression. How long have you been on that medication? Depression
Yeah.
is a big one too.
I was gonna say that.
Yes.
So how long
Okay.
ago were you prescribed that? And with depression meds and anxiety both, sometimes they switch you up because they got to find out. That's why it's really important to see how long has she been on this. And we know this because we took in a teen girl who was on antidepressants.
Yeah, a couple
And yep,
minutes.
they would constantly have to be switching
Thank you.
medications to figure out what works for her and what dosage.
Well, she wasn't
Gotcha.
compliant with her meds, first of all.
but
That's
that's-
going to be one of the questions that the carriers will ask. There's a couple of things that you need to ask when you hear depression or any kind of behavioral med. What medication are you on? How many are
Yeah.
you taking? A lot of the carriers don't like to see more than 2. It'll be 0 to 2 that you'll have to select that box. And then they'll
Okay.
drill down and ask, why is the client taking that medication? So like it'll be, one of them is like situational anxiety, one of the clients that I'm working with right now.
Mhm.
So another was panic disorder. That'll come in there, but you're going to need to know why they're taking that med and how many of those meds are they taking. It is important because it'll knock them out of a lot of carriers. Oh, and also date of diagnosis. A lot of those carriers want it to be more than 2 years.
Yeah, because for that whole reason of the balance to make sure that that medication's working, because sometimes it may look like Miriam's on 4 medications, but she's actually only on 1, but they had her go through 3 prior to find that that's the one that works for her.
Think about it as you're the insurer and you're on the, the ringer for paying that claim. Remember back in the day when people were taking Prozac and doing crazy stuff, killing themselves, killing other people. That's why that 2-year exclusion. And they want to know the medication and how long you've been on it, and basically if you're having any issues.
2-year
Makes sense.
exclusion. What
It-
does that mean?
The diagnosis, a lot of the carriers, they'll knock you out if you were diagnosed within 2 years. It's after,
Oh, I see.
or they'll
Well,
give.
in my case, I mean, I've had it for 15 years since
So
I
you're
had my
fine.
son,
You would be
so we're
insured.
safe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
you've got it
Just
managed.
by the studying that I've done on anxiety and depression, it usually goes hand in hand. The deeper depression you have, the more anxiety you have. It's
Yep.
pretty wild.
The other
Yeah.
thing I
Yeah.
would have just dove on is she said she had 100,000. And
Yeah.
this will come back to you, and this is why you'll learn to ask this. 100,000 is good, yep. Miriam, how long ago did you take out that policy?
Mm.
Because if she took that policy out 18 years ago when she was 18 years younger, her rate's obviously going to be way lower.
Of
Oh
course.
yeah.
But, you know, so we're not comparing apples to apples, because when you go and give her that rate for 100,000, if she's paying 36 a month and you come in at like 92, but she's a month, but that was 18 years ago. It's
Mhm.
Exactly.
especially if she has a 20-year term that's going to expire in 2 years,
Mhm.
you know. So that's where you're going to have to point out, Miriam, you know, hey, if you think 92 is expensive now, in 2 more years, it's going to be even more expensive. You know,
Right.
Because
And
And
vice
as we get
versa,
older.
18 years ago, 100,000, what was it worth compared to today?
Yeah. And
So
part
you-
of why we asked the birthday up front too is because she's right on that cusp in 1970. She's like
Mhm.
53, 54 right now.
53, yeah, I'm gonna be 54 in September, so that's pretty old for insurance.
So once you start, coming up on age 60, like it's a fine line. Do we want to go term? Do we want to go final expense? Like the lady we quoted last night, I was like, look, I'll give you, if you want term, this is what I'll give you. I'll give you what you want. But
Yep.
if it were me, I told him, I would lean towards this because I can put you in a 10-year term, but I'm literally putting an expiration date is what I told him. I said, I'm basically telling you, you have to pass away in the next 10 years. Or I told
Mm.
my guy, this became very expensive life insurance. This
Yeah.
is where you have to know your audience and know how to talk, whether based on their age. I would never tell a 20-year-old this, but I said term insurance is the most expensive insurance because, you know, that guy's name was John. I'm like,
25.
John, if you don't pass away in the next 10 years, that was some very expensive insurance. You just donated it all. So I know you want 200,000, but I can get you 75. They're about the same price, but this one here is a permanent plan. It's not a, will it pay out?
Yeah,
Have to put a 10-year expiration date on you. It's a when will it pay out plan. That terminology between will it pay out and when will it pay out, very different. And when you put it that way, they're like, so I'm like, yes, it's not as much coverage, but if you don't pass away in the next 10 years, it wasn't a good plan.
money.
And I
money
want to
out
look
the
at what's
window.
best for you long term. So long term for me, this makes more sense. Now, if you really feel you need 200,000, I'll pair it with $100,000 accidental for you. That's going to get you 175,000, you know, or 125,000 accidental. I can get you to the 200,000, but I'm not putting an expiration date on you. This one's also going to build cash, you know, so once it starts to build up a cash value, you can either pull the cash out, use it for whatever you want. And I encourage you to, because it's your money and you're building it, you're earning it, or you can use it to pay for your premiums. So you're not coming out of pocket for your expenses. Usually they're like, when you point those little things out, now I've just gained trust with that client because I might be the only agent that just pointed out those little tips to them, and they might be speaking to 4 of us. But if I'm the one who's like, look, this is what I would do, and this is why, rather than just putting in you exactly what you asked, because remember, you're the licensed, you're the professional. They came to you for help. They will take your guidance. This is where I'm like, it's another thing. When you're on the follow-up call, like if I'm talking to Carla and Carla's like, yeah, I like the rate, you know, for this one, because when I do my follow-up, I'm like, okay, Carla, which plan did you choose? She's going to tell me. Well, sometimes they're like, I like this one. I'm looking at this one or this one. And I'll just call it out. Like, so you like the 300,000, but you like the payment on the 150,000. Am I hearing you right? All right. So that's where I can make suggestions. Okay. Why don't we do 200,000? We'll go right down the middle. How's that work for you?
See, I love it, Misty, because now you're helping to avoid a potential cancellation. You try to sell too much, they're going to cancel on you.
Yeah,
100%.
Always think about that. Always think that
Yep.
because you don't want to charge back.
Nope. I don't want to put you in, and I'll even come down at the end, yeah, when we're doing it. Carla, you're sure this is comfortable? Like with our lady yesterday, you're sure 312 is a comfortable month? Because the last thing I want to do is put you in a plan. And 7 months down the road, you're like, I bit off more than I can chew, and this lapses.
And you might have a condition that came up in between that time. And
Yeah.
now your coverage options are very limited.
Yep.
Yeah.
I tell people that, yep, you could have a heart attack in that time. You could be diagnosed with cancer in that time. Something, you know, so I don't want you to be, the other thing is she said her husband had a policy through work.
Yeah.
I said that on purpose.
Mhm.
I wanted to, yeah.
What does he have outside of that? Because I'm always like, work plans
There
are
you
great, man. They're dirt cheap. They're dirt cheap. I encourage you. Yep, take as much as you can get from your employer. But what do you have outside that? And usually, and just be quiet. Let them answer. Because usually they're like, what do you mean? Well, sometimes they'll ask you, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I'm asking because I probably have 4 or 5 guys a week that come to me in a panic. They're getting ready to retire and they realized the 150 a month they've been paying for 20 years is now going to 1,000 a month. And guys, that's very realistic. I literally usually have situations like that. There's guys that'll call and they're like, I just found, you know, I sent them quotes 7 months ago and they were like, oh, those are expensive. You know, my work plan's cheaper. And then they call me in a panic, getting ready to retire. We met with our benefits coordinator and they just informed me, yes, I can take my plan, but it's just like their health benefits. It's Cobra. Nobody can afford it. It's literally going to go from like 150 a month to like 800 to 1,000 a month.
Can I add why that's important, why this comes up with firemen and police and federal agents and other people? So their pension plans are usually option 1, 2, or 3. Okay. And all that is it's an annuity. Okay. That they're doing with their municipality or state government. And so basically, option 1 is usually 100%, you know, payout. Let's say that, let's just use even numbers. Your option 1 is $1,000 a month, right? Option 2 is going to cover you and your wife and pay you $800 a month. It's a reduced amount, but if you die, it'll pay your wife for 10 years. Option 3 is going to be $650 for 20 years or infinite. Each municipality and retirement plan is different, but you can see that there's a reduction in income. So they're going to be calling us. Those calls that Misty's getting are for that reason. The client's realizing, holy shit, if I predecease my wife, she's going to be living off of X and I need to fill that gap. And so that's why that call happens regularly.
Right. So you just want to have that in there. Because, and I also tell them, you know, I throw in there, I'm like, you don't want to come to me when you're age 60 and above looking to replace a work plan because it comes real expensive and real limited. So we might, you know, and I've won several policies for spouses. I'm like, Miriam, if your husband has a $300,000 for a work one, even if we put him in a $25,000 permanent final expense plan today, that's going to benefit him. Even if we put him in a $100,000 term plan, just so he has something set up for when he retires as well, I'm going to leave you in a better position. Usually they're like, because I'm like, you know, I'm covering you to make sure, and this is where you know, go out there now. I say, don't try to sell someone, just go make a friend. I'm like, Miriam, we're trying to cover you to make sure he's okay. Girl, we got to make sure you're okay too, in case something happens to him.
And for your younger ones that are going to ask you, this question comes up, and I always like to tell them, always purchase as much term as you can qualify for while you're young and it's available.
So to my point on the son,
Love it.
The 15-year, you said we can put him on a rider. I do not. I don't use riders. I never, if you read the riders, when those kids become 18 or 23, they have to get a new plan. So if they're 15, what, I'm going to put them in a 3-year plan for like 10,000? Now he's going to be 18. I am so much better putting him in his own permanent plan today.
Smart UL.
Smart
Love it.
UL. I'm going to put him in a smart UL all freaking day long because I'm setting him up now. When he's 80, his rates are going to be the same as they were when he was 15 years old and young and healthy. And I always point out, Miriam, your son is never going to be younger and healthier than he is today, right? Because as you and I, we've went through life. The one thing we can agree on, we don't get healthier as we age, right?
No.
All those times people said, enjoy it while you're young. And you're like, yeah, that's you, not me. Yep. I'm realizing, yeah, they had no reason to lie. Those were warning signs. And I brushed them off. Now I'm like, yep. And I say, I wish my parents would have put me in a plan this young. Which now I just.
Now,
put
if you
in
were,
that.
yeah, it makes sense. Now, what would be the best plan for me as a 53-year-old healthy person? Is it like a 20-year-old term to get to 70 and then switch it? Is it a whole life already now, which is going to be a lot more reasonable than, let's say, in 5 years?
So it
Where
depends
would you
on what
put
your
me?
needs are. And that's where you got to dive in with your client. Like if you have a heavy mortgage and you're
Yeah.
the main breadwinner, I'm definitely going to make sure for your family's sake that we have enough coverage for that to make sure that mortgage, that the bank's not coming in and taking your house, because
Yeah.
day and age they're after it. So yeah, I would look at carriers that have guaranteed renewability for you, meaning in the next 20 years, if you come down with a laundry list of medical conditions, you don't have to requalify. And one like Mutual of Omaha is good where they have, and AMM has the same thing, premiums paid up, where, you know, we do a 20-year term for you, you outlive it, you know, and I always say, God willing, you outlive it, and I hope you do. Now it's going to give you some credit for the money you've put in that we can put towards a new plan, or you don't have to qualify again. Because Miriam, 20 years down the road, you might only need a final expense. You only might need 10,000 just for burial. You know, but we don't know what inflation is going to be like. So sometimes I might suggest, you know what, let's do 200,000 today in a term plan to cover you, but let's also lock in a $5,000 or $10,000 whole life. Let's do 2 plans. We have you set up long term.
That's what I was going to say.
Yep.
I might as well get a
Anytime when
whole
your
life
mortgage
now.
starts to go down, like say 7 years down the road, you really focus on paying that mortgage down. You don't feel you need this. 7 years down the road, you can cancel that term plan.
Mhm.
But you're going to want to keep that final expense one always.
Is it possible to write our own policies? Like for me, example, I'm 29 and I have 4 kids. And
Yep.
they have like a Gerber whole life, but it doesn't build a lot of cash value, but it was affordable. So
Yeah. Yep. Those Gerber plans too, though, those will help your kids out when they become adults and they go to buy their first house. Just so you know,
Okay.
they can list that as an asset. The very first house I bought, my ex-husband had a Gerber Children's Whole Life policy, and our mortgage broker was like, "Do you have any life insurance policies?" And I was like, "Why are they asking about life insurance? Are they trying to kill us off? Like, what the heck?" And she was, you know, so I asked her, I was like, "What does that matter?" And she was like, "Because depending on what kind you have, it may be an asset." And it was. His parents took it out for him when he was born, and we had to put less money down because we were able to list that cash value and that life insurance policy as an asset. So
Okay.
good job on setting your kids up from the beginning. For you, I would look at probably either Prosperity or GTL, depending on like your health, on
Okay.
your own plan. Yep. Those are going to be your best rates.
Everybody's insurance need is different. I mean, with every financial product, you always got to ask people, what's the purpose of the money? You know, like for insurance purposes, what are you trying to insure? What's your goal? Everyone has a different reason. I mean, for, some people that are recently divorced, they'll come to you and it's like, hey, I need a 20-year term for $200,000. The reason for that's probably because in their judgment, they were told that they had to carry X number of dollars for a period of time. They're not concerned, after that time frame. But you really have to drill down as why do you need the 500,000? What's the reason for this? I want to make sure that I'm putting you in the right type of, plan, giving you the right options. Because you, Miriam, are at that cusp of where insurance is going to be very expensive if you get it wrong, or
Yep.
you need to, adjust the types of coverages now. And, people use term for an if-then scenario. Some people don't like wasting money. Some people are okay with wasting money. And to Misty's comment there, guaranteed conversion insurance then is, that better gap in the event that something happens. But,
Prosperity would be good for you because Prosperity at age 75, you can convert to a permanent plan. So that's one I would look at for you.
Okay. Thank you. But price-wise, which is going to be a less premium or more affordable premium?
Term is always going to be the less premium.
Okay.
But it's also, like Misty said, the most expensive because at the end of that term, now you're older and you're shopping for permanent insurance that's big dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you got to know your audience because
Yeah.
term insurance is the cheapest insurance. It's also the most expensive insurance. It depends on which audience you're talking to.
At the end of the day, you can have the conversation with the client prospect, but you also got to sell them what they're going to buy. I mean, let's just be frank here. You know, you can try to
Yeah.
educate them, but if you're going down a rabbit hole where you're seeing more objections, you know, and you're trying to do the right thing for them, then give them what they want.
Yeah.
Carla, for you too, like I would also look at Strong Foundations, Foresters, just because for kids, depending on their age, they have it's called the Orphans Children's Benefit Plan, where God forbid if you predecease your children, which, you know, reality, we hope you predecease your children. No parent wants to bury their children. But whoever would be your children's guardian, they would inherit $900 a month
Per child until they're 18.
till your kids are 18, the guardians, which helps them so that you can leave your children as the beneficiaries, because the minors cannot collect life insurance until they're 18. It goes to probate. Whoever their guardian is, they can put in a request to try to get withdrawals, but they have to justify why. And those rules are in place to make sure, like, if your 4 children are your beneficiaries and your brother is the only living family member to take on your children after you pass, and your brother has a gambling habit, he's not gambling your children's life insurance in any way. That's why they
So-
have rules in place.
That would be a good question because I don't have any family. Like I'm the definition of a single parent. So if something happens, they're probably going to end up in foster care, but I want to make sure they're set up when they're 18.
Whoever
I
the
would do
guardian
Foresters
is.
then. All
Yeah.
on
Okay.
Forester Strong Foundation.
And you can look up the Forester's Child Orphan Benefit. Just Google it, and there's a flyer out there that they put out, and you'll read all about what those benefits are. There's also tuition assistance for 4 years to a university.
Mhm.
What is it, 5,000 or 6,000 a year, babe? I don't remember.
It was 6,000. I don't know if they changed it because it used to be that you could get 8,000 for
I think it's
transfer
6,000.
live, and they dropped that to 2,500, but they offered more scholarships.
And to get that Forester's Child Orphan Benefit to be a member, I believe still you can write even a simple accident
Accident.
policy and have access to that. So you could write a $10,000 accident policy that costs you $7 a month and have access to that benefit.
Okay.
But just Google the child orphan benefit with Foresters and you'll see all about it. I think it's one of the best benefits. Very inexpensive for, you know, a small accident policy to have access to that in the event that something happens.
Okay. And then before we end today, I don't know if I can screen share, but I'm having an issue with the Reagan AI and completing the application.
Yeah, there you go. I just gave it where you could screen share. And then we're gonna have Dylan and you do a role play scenario too. You guys aren't off the hook.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yep. Let me move our faces. All right.
And then it gives like an error. So I'm thinking it's something to do with my last name.
Oh. Interesting.
Identify population mismatch. Probably, yeah, because are you the one you had to call and get your last name fixed on your license?
Yeah, so it's Barker, and I think in the system they had it as Clark, and I edited it because I wanted it to be accurate, but that probably messed it up. So
Yeah, you may have to just call them.
okay.
Call them and see if they can just adjust it. And that should be
Is
able to help.
there a phone number somewhere on here? Or
There should be, but don't ask me where it is. I'm guessing it's that question mark up there.
If you
Okay, so-
control F, if you click on control F or command F and you write down whatever you're looking for, it will pop up for you. That's the magic.
See, we all
Like phone or tel or anything, you
Contact us.
control F.
Okay. I'll play around with the website, and if I don't see anything, I'll reach out. But I see I can send a message. So
Yeah, there you go. All right. And let's have you and Dylan role play. Dylan, why don't we let Carla be the client since she
Yep, yep,
brand
that's
spanking new.
I was on the same page with you.
I was
Alright.
like, all right, so we'll let you two kids go at it.
All right. Ring ring. Ring ring.
hello.
Hi, is this Carla?
Yes.
Hey, Carla, this is Dylan from the Red Insurance Agency. Just getting back to you on some life insurance information that you requested. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember it.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Hey, I just got a couple questions for you. That way I can go ahead and get some quotes sent over. First things first, when is your birthday?
August 11th, 94.
Awesome, awesome. And what do you do for work?
I actually sell Medicare.
Awesome, awesome. How, and then let's go ahead. Are you on any prescriptions or do you have any pre-existing medical conditions?
I recently had a surgery to remove a kidney stone, but I'm not on any active prescriptions.
Gotcha. Okay. No blood thinners or anything like that?
No,
Gotcha. And then do you smoke cigar,
no,
nicotine, vape, nothing? Okay. And then now, do you have any current coverage right now or
no.
no? Okay. What kind of has you looking for coverage?
I have 4 kids. I'm just trying to make sure they're set up in case anything happens.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, if I'm hearing you correctly, you just want to make sure, if, God forbid anything does happen, they're all taken care of.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, do you make how much do you make annually?
Probably around 60,000.
Okay, gotcha. Are you familiar with life insurance at all, or did you have
Yes.
something like set out?
Well, I know the children have their own individual policies, but I was just looking for something that's affordable for me, but would give a decent amount of coverage.
Gotcha. Perfect. Did you have a set coverage amount in mind?
I was trying to look around maybe 300,000 just to start off with.
Okay, gotcha. Sounds good. We can definitely do that. Now, have you no heart, stroke, cancer, surgery? I know you just said you had one surgery, right?
Yes.
Awesome, but no heart, stroke, cancer.
No.
Okay, perfect. Love to hear it. And now, all right, I'm stumped.
Okay, so some stuff I thought really good. You asked, do you have existing coverage? Really good.
Mhm.
You asked her why. Really good. You know, the why is what brings the emotional part in, so that is really good. And that's usually something I have to train people later, so that's really good. How much coverage? Good things. Two things that I would have drilled down when she said she had kidney stone surgery. How long
Okay.
ago?
Oh, okay. Yep.
It could have been last week, could have been last month.
Yep.
That's gonna make a difference. So we want to know how long ago. And then sometimes when you ask people, hey, how much do you make on the first call? That can be very invasive.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's something we want to wait, a little bit longer on. Unless, or if you're gonna ask that, I'd be like, hey, Carla, you know, one of the perks of life insurance is we're always trying to replace an income. So just kind of like a ballpark, what do you roughly make annual? That
Okay.
way I can make sure like if I'm asking that one, like if they tell me, and I think this is on the one call Mark and I did when we role played, the one guy, when he called and it was the real guy that he was calling, not him and I role playing, but the guy said, I'm just trying to make sure my wife would be taken care of.
Yep.
I had told Mark, Mark's like, oh, okay. And he brushed past. I was like, I would have drilled down on that. Well, okay, Scott, if you passed away tomorrow, roughly what do you bring home a year so that I know what we're replacing? So always tell them if you're going to ask that question, why you're asking it.
Okay.
If you tell somebody why you're asking the question, they're more likely to give you the answer
Right on.
instead of being, but pretty good. Height, weight, make sure you get height, weight, which I think
Yep.
you did. What she does for a living, Medicare, I would have addressed. Oh, you saw Medicare, so you do understand a little bit about insurance too. Thanks for helping all, our seniors out there. And Medicare, whew, that's a whole nother ballpark. But the good thing over here, Carla, is you can do Medicare again. And the other IMO that we're partnered with, they'll set you up with all of that. So you'll be able to do both. So that was pretty good. Those are just the things. I liked how you asked the why. To me, the why is important. Because again, when you're coming down to that close, hey Carla, you told me this was important because you have 4 children that you want to make sure. I mean, if God forbid you go to work tomorrow and you don't come home, how are those 4 kids getting by? Who's taking care of them? all those things that, as a parent, you plan for them, college, weddings, their first car, those things you're not going to be present for. I'm a mom too. I always bring back the emotion. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, a mother too. I want to make sure, just like you, my family's taken care of. If I can't be here tomorrow, I want to make sure that my youngest, if college is in his future, that can happen. I helped my older two children when they bought, houses, when it's his time to buy his first house. If I'm not here, I want to make sure the funds are. So he gets the same experience. Like I'll bring back my, tell my story, to relate to her. We're both human.
Mhm.
I'm a mom just like you. I want to make sure. So always, bring your side up too. So, how are you guys feeling? You ready to dive in, hit the phone?
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So for the
Feeling
three of
good.
you who's been here a minute, what's preventing Dylan? You're on the phone already.
Yep. It's just nailing the script
Yep.
at this point, which you can see.
Yep. Just get familiar. Like I said, just
Yep.
should be able to walk around and just say it. It should flow off your tongue. Just walk around, keep practicing it, record yourself. That's something, record yourself and then go back and listen to the recording. You'd be surprised when I did that in the beginning. I was like, oh my God, I sound horrible at that. And then I would go back and I'd be like, just keep practicing, because I was like, oh my God, that's what I sound like. Or I'd be like, oh, that one sounded pretty good.
My girlfriend is still in like, the car sales thing. So like I'll call her and I'll be like, hey, do this with me. And she's like, yeah, I know. Let's go.
Yep.
So that's
There's
always
nothing wrong
fun.
with that. And if you want to practice with each other, there's nothing wrong with that too. But don't make it easy on the other person, You're not doing yourself a favor if you're like, oh yeah, just going with the flow and going with it. No, be objective, like how Marion threw those objections up. Like, make it harder.
Oh, she's got pills on pills galore. So I mean, she is more than enough qualified to make it hard.
There you go. So I mean, the biggest thing for the three of you that have been here a minute, get on the phones and dive in. That's where you're going to start seeing, the results. You got to dive in.
Has-
What someone's going to do is hang up.
I got
Has-
3 policies I got to quote today. Which we can,
We're going
I
to see in
wondered-
a minute after, and yeah.
Yep,
go over
yep.
it.
Has anybody tried the happy leads?
No, but I was literally just telling Jason last night, I think I'm going to try those, but I just want to make sure they're not Facebook leads, because if they're Facebook leads, I need to
So
answer with myself.
I was going through like their site, and
Mhm.
it looks like they are, because they're very let's see, where is it? There it is. They're very adamant about like, let's see, where does it say it? It's in like their like little print, like, oh, here it is. Yeah. It says Facebook on here, I swear.
Yeah. If it's a Facebook lead, I can do my own We're all doing our own Facebook. So
Right.
I was gonna try out lead ledger this week too. That's the one where it's supposed to be live transfers. I think they're like $40 or $60 a piece,
Mhm.
but it's like somebody else is calling for you, and then you put when you're available, what hours you're free. And then when they get a live person on the line, they transfer. And you only get charged, from what I understood, if you're on the phone with them 3 or more minutes.
Okay.
So that means they have to be interested. Like, they're supposed to pre-screen them and then transfer them over. Like I should be calling, and then I'm like, hey Dylan, this guy says he wants term life insurance. This is his birthday. Yep, period. And I'm warm transferring. So-
Okay. So they're kind of already walled down a little bit.
I think so. That's why I
Yeah,
want to
okay.
check them out. And Razor Ridge, we know Razor Ridge is,
Yeah.
it's another, to me, that's just a expensive life Facebook lead.
Yeah. And then I see Shonda putting in there the level up leads.
So Level Up, I've never used them. Mark said
Mhm.
he used them in the past and was not a fan.
Okay.
Mark did try, I'm drawing a blank, Funly. He tried Funly,
Okay.
and they were okay. If you're gonna do them, don't sign right up. They do like a trial. It's like $97 for a week.
Mhm.
He got them to do 2 weeks for 147. But the thing with theirs, from what we understood, is if we're all in Funly, when a new lead comes in, we all get notified, and it's kind of a rat race. Like, who
Okay. So
first?
I remember you talking about it. I couldn't remember what the name of it was. So couldn't remember if it was the happy leads or the
Funly, yeah, it's Funly.
yeah.
The
Okay.
cool thing about it was like Mark did like walked me through his is literally like if Carla filled it out, I can see all Carla's information. I know her birth date, her height, her weight, how much coverage she's looking for. Some of them had, if they had a budget, it had their health info. They were very detailed leads on some of them.
Mhm.
But and some of them people didn't want, like there were some people that were unhealthy. Like the very first one that Mark called me, he's like, well, there's one in here nobody took, but he's like, the guy listed he had major health conditions and he's this age. I'm like, I would take that all day long. When you're gonna have that come to Jesus, like, hey, this is what you want. I think he wanted 350,000, but this is realistically what you're gonna get. Like,
Yeah.
that's not with just me. That's with anybody. So, you know, and what he lists as a laundry list of major medical might not really be that major medical. Maybe it is to him. Maybe it's not to someone else. So to me, if you get unlimited leads, I'm going to take as many as I can, healthy or unhealthy.
Yeah.
And Miriam, you don't have
Is-
Baltimore Life either?
Is there somewhere in the training where where it goes over how to create the Facebook leads or how to start doing that?
There is. There's a whole training section there. I took down the video part just because Mark well, actually Adam had suggested. Adam's like, those leads are really good until people can properly role play to show that they're ready to work those leads. He's like, I would not have them running ads because they're going to be wasting those leads.
Okay.
So we took
And
the
then-
video down until, can show that you can role play.
Got it. I've
Yeah,
seen that there were some contracts that I forgot to submit. So how long does that process normally take, or what's my next steps?
So the ones you forgot, you're going to want to do right away because it's taken a week to a week and a half to get carriers back because they did so many at once. So, and some of them like if you didn't fill that out right away, like Kevin, you're not going to get Baltimore Life right away just because you do it right away now. It goes in the back of the pile behind everyone else because,
Yep.
But if you have some carriers, you're good to go. You don't have
I'm not crying. I got carriers.
There you go. As long as you got some carriers, you're good to go.
I was crying for a while, but I'm done crying.
Yeah. Those tears don't get you anywhere. For sure.
No, they
What was
don't.
your question, Misty? I didn't hear you.
Did you say you don't have your Baltimore Life?
No, I don't have anything Baltimore or Reagan Eye, and a bunch of others, but that's not my biggest problem. My biggest problem is Facebook. I'm in Facebook prison and I don't know what I'm going to do. So I don't know how I'm going to generate leads
you
if I
get-
don't have Facebook. But
You're in Facebook jail, like altogether?
I am just like Sandy. Well, just for advertising. So I don't know if you've looked on my Facebook. I've been creating a lot of advertising, but on my personal page because it's my business page that they messed up. I don't know why they blocked. And then I'm working a lot on my Instagram. I don't know if I'm going to be able to generate anything on my Instagram. So what I'm doing now is create a lot of ads, and I'm getting better at it. I'm also trying to see if I can get somebody to do my SEO for my website and my Google entry.
Yeah, I
just to
wouldn't
get
worry about
up.
those as much. That's where I told Mark, stop training on the CRM. He spent
No, not the
much
CRM. The
Okay.
just to get up on the search, on the Google search, if somebody looks for life insurance, so people can find me.
Yeah,
That's I'm trying to-
okay, I got you. You
They
should
Google
reach out
search.
to Google and they can help you with that. If you go on your Google, your business admin page, there is
Mhm.
like a contact center in there, and you can put in a support ticket. And they'll and there's a thing on there to validate. That says validate. You have to go through the validation steps.
So if you Google me, you'll find me, but I'm not top.
But
You're
yeah,
gonna
you
have
got to pay to
take-
get to the
they-
top. That's going to cost you.
Exactly. And so Google approached me, like maybe they wanted me to spend like $500 or $600 dollars to go up. I'm not ready to do that yet.
No,
But I have
don't
a
worry
friend
about
who's
being
a
at the
coder.
top because it's actually going to cost you thousands to be at the top.
Yeah. So I have a friend who's a coder and he said he can help with
Okay.
that. We will
Yeah,
see.
work
I don't
with
know how he's going to do that. Also, the other thing I'm trying to do is create a LinkedIn page.
I don't use
I don't-
LinkedIn for
I-
leads. I don't think people are filling out for life
No?
insurance on there. No, I think LinkedIn's more like people for job opportunities.
Oh, okay. So I thought maybe to validate me, like people to see if people want to search me to see my credentials or my
Well,
life
that you can
experience.
do, yeah. I just want to
Yeah.
try to run ads on there.
No. I don't think you can do ads per se there. And
can,
I don't
but you
know
don't want
about
to.
Instagram. Huh?
You can run ads on LinkedIn, but you don't want to. Instagram should be just the same as Facebook, but you can't ask for the birthday on Instagram.
I'm not worried about that. I'm doing ads, but I'm not paying for them just yet because it's going to be only Instagram. It doesn't, even when I put an ad normally on Instagram, it should go to my Facebook. It doesn't, or it doesn't go to my business Facebook. So now I'm just going to do them. I'm doing them manually on my personal page. And I'm trying to see if this person can help me like, get my page, my
Get you out of jail.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. I don't know if that's possible because
It
I think
should
that's
tell you
Meta.
why you're in there because I was in Facebook jail for a while, but then it was
You were?
for the ads. Yeah, in the beginning I was, and I had to go through like a validation process. So
I
like,
did do that, and I've contacted them so many times, and it's so frustrating not to be able to find a person to talk to. Like really, just tell me what I'm doing wrong, or if there's a pending, or if there's a change in the payment method. I'm very happy to give you my new card, whatever. I don't know why they keep you in that jail, and you don't know when and to when and how, and I don't know if if they would allow me to create another business page. Right now, I'm only using my personal page, and I'm not getting any leads. But
yeah, you might just
so
want to
that's
try
my
to create a
major
new
problem.
business page.
Huh?
You just might want to create a new business page. Yeah, start from fresh. It's probably easier.
Yeah, but you know how long it takes to build an audience. You know that. Yeah. So I'm as it is. My page is young, so it's
Yeah, so if you're having
very
issues with
frustrating.
it and young, I would just start a new one. And again, you're not running the ads on your page, so it doesn't matter how many followers you have. If you're running it through the ad through Meta, then it's going off everybody in the
That's a
state
good
that you-
point.
Yeah, because I
That's a good
didn't friend
point.
request anybody for my business page. They just ended up showing up there.
Nice. That's a good idea, actually. Thank you.
And I'm the first to
Is
tell you,
there-
I'm really bad about posting on my business page.
Yeah.
Is there what, Carla?
Oh, sorry. There was a training you mentioned for me to start. Is that in Reagan AI or?
No, the training is the Centron team. Have you been in that one yet?
No, I don't think so.
Let me see if we added your email. Nope, that's why you haven't been in there. Okay. Let me grab your email, Carla.
Okay.
Actually, what's your email? I'm just gonna add it while I'm here on you.
Carla with a K,
Mhm.
6160 clark@gmail.com.
You're gonna get an email to join Team Centron GoDaddy training site.
Okay.
And your name is, I just did Carla Clark to be easy because it's just for you. It'll ask you to
Okay.
create a login.
And then I know this can probably vary, but from your experience, what's like the least amount of money you can make off an application?
Depends on what kind it is. Like if it's an accident, you can make like $100, $200. Just depends on what the plan is. Because there's
Okay.
different plans. It's not like Medicare where it's like 300 if they're switching plans, or 600 if they're new enrollment, or I think they increased it now. It's like 620 or 630 or something, and like 320.
Okay.
It goes by the carrier and what product it is.
Okay.
Most of them, you should be making like 80%. You should be making a pretty good amount.
How long does it normally take to get like past training and role playing into actual leads and calling?
So that literally depends on the agent, how much time you put into voting. I've had some agents that literally like within a week they're on the phone and they're consistent.
Okay.
Like Holly, she's still at Symmetry because she won a cruise, but when she'll be coming over in May, when she switched to my team, she was like an $1,800 a month producer at best. She's like a $40,000 a month consistent producer now, but she dove right in when she came over here and I was like, Holly, this is our training site. I can see, just so you know, like here, let me share my screen. I can see every time, like I know Dylan's been in the training portal a lot. So it's no surprise Dylan, made a sale last week. I can see like Allison logged in this morning. So Joanne is in there training. Diane was in there yesterday. Mickey was in there. I can see when you're in here training. Like yours, you were just invited to create a password.
Did you see can you look down and see me? Because I'm in there right now, actually.
Yep, Kevin Lee. You completed your password reset yesterday. So let me refresh.
That's it. That's cool. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's not showing you in here, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm logged in right now.
Shows you in
That's
there
cool.
yesterday. It may be if you didn't log out, it may just still have you logged in.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
But yeah, so get in here, like the training videos, really watch those, watch the product ones, get familiar with the attachments. Like, so here, let me give you a tour of the training site.
So could I just tell you, Misty, you had mentioned about getting the script down, and that's kind of where I just went to your website and pulled things down.
Yep.
So got to get a lot smoother with it, but I'm going to work on getting smoother right now.
So this is what it's going to look like for you, Carla. This just kind of tells you, like how to set things up, gives you a tour. Team calls are always on the homepage at the bottom. Like, so Monday morning, we always have a training call. You can come right on here. I'll try to make these where they're hyperlinks. They used to be hyperlinks and for whatever reason, they're not right now. Tuesday, this, the one you're in right now, this is invite only.
Okay.
So I'll get you in next week as well. So we can get you. And next week it won't be role playing. Next week it may be going over like we're running quotes together. Did I get you the quoting tool to get in there and play with that? All right.
No, I know.
We're gonna get you in there too. And I encourage you get in there and play with it, and I'll give you a quick walkthrough. Friday, I think I'm gonna do away with this, or I think I'm gonna keep this. Maybe I don't know. I'm on the fence, but maybe do more of like how the intro. And then training videos. So these are all how to set your computer up. Like here's some of the links. You're going to want to save these links, bookmark, because if you can't get into your stuff for whatever reason, now you've got the bookmarks.
Okay.
This shows you how to use the quoting tool, but I'm going to give you a quick tour too. How to use your counting. Like all of these videos are really good to just watch through. I even just updated. Is this the one from yesterday? Yeah. Like literally this was me calling my lead yesterday. How to ask for the banking information and when the best, because we had a couple people on our old team, like they were starting out the application. They're like, okay, what's your checking information? I'm like, that is a horrible way to start an application. You never ask somebody for their banking information. That's one of your first questions. That just screams scam, even though you're legit. Like, so any training calls, like attachments you're going to need, these are like, anytime you're talking to a couple, you're going to want to like that qualifying sheet. You click open and it's going to open up. Print these out. If you're talking to somebody, let me make sure it's switched. Okay. Like write their information down. When you're doing an application, write their information down. Because you never know, like God forbid if they do get declined. You don't want to ask a client for all their information again. That's frustrating. And you'll also be surprised how many times people will call you back and be like, hey, Carla, can you tell me what bank account I have listed on mine? If you don't have it down, they don't know. So your quotes, as you're doing their quotes, write it down. These are all things to help you. Know your comps for your carriers. You want to know what you're getting paid out? I mean, yeah, I always want to know what I'm getting paid. So I can come under here, I can see if I'm on AMAM and I'm a supervising agent, which that's what you are, you're an SA. You're an SA
Okay.
or a GA, you have to look on your contracting, but if I'm selling, if I want to sell the easy term, I know I'm making 60%. So if my quotes for easy term are coming in about the same as, say, I'm just grabbing another term, say foresters, that was 60% there. So say that the term plan on foresters, I'm looking at that and the rates are about the same, but oh, wow, hey, I get 100% payout on this one. I only get a 60% payout on that other one. If it's me and the rate's the same, my client's going in foresters all day long because it's a 40% more payout for me. And it's not going to affect my client, but it's going to affect my payout. So I'm going to look out for my best interest too. So kind of keep that in mind. I didn't have anything like this when I was at Symmetry, and Jason and I were literally just joking about it. The first apps I wrote were Americo. And I really thought I was getting paid such and such, but on theirs, this T125 Symmetry, it was a 30% difference between T125 and T100. Only my upline didn't tell me. It was a $2-3 different for my client. I put them in the cheaper one and I cost myself 30% payout because my upline didn't tell me the difference in breakouts. So I don't want you guys making those same mistakes. You know, I want you maximizing your payout too.
So I'm new to this, but the percentages that are listed, is that like the total amount you get paid based off the premium? Or
Yeah, like so that one that's was 100%. If you sell a policy and say it's $1,000 for the year, that's what that costs the client, and you're making 100%. So that means you've made $1,000. Now your carrier is going to advance you 9 months worth of payments. So that means you're going to get, you take 1,000 times 0.75, that equals 9 months. And that's your payout. That's what you're going to get advanced. So you're going to get $750 advanced. And the other
Okay.
250 you'll get in months 10, 11, and 12 when they make their final payments.
Okay. And then
Um,
how often are we paid, or it just depends?
depends on the carrier. Looks like
Okay.
most of them pay once a week.
Okay.
Like I know GTL pays on Thursday, which keep me posted, Dylan, on yours, whether it looks like they fixed ours yesterday.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
will do.
So yeah, keep an eye on yours to make sure. Like objections, here's some talking points. Like there's templates on here, product training, all those that you need, they're all on here. Scripts, like how Kevin said, you want to learn the scripts, right here's scripts. Questions to ask, if you know, they're right here too, so you can copy, print them out if you need to. And just kind of, you know, get familiar with them. There's videos that will literally show you how to write the application so that as you don't want to learn as you're walking through writing your client the first time too, going, oh, well, shoot, I don't know what that means. Watch the video. How do you write the application so you know in advance?
Okay.
And they're all short videos because trust me, I don't like to sit here and watch long, boring stuff either. So all that's on there for you. So that'll help you out. And then
Okay.
let me walk you through the quoting tool real quick. And I'll get you my access. These are all everyone has my logins for these.
Okay.
So the only thing you're going to use on this is you got to make sure if it's FEX is final expense, so whole life. And then there's term. These are the only two you're really using.
Okay.
So looks like the last guy I quoted, this is his actual information. So over here is like where I put in, you know, he's diabetic. And I did. So I put in he was diabetic. And if I do it again, this is where you're gonna, and I encourage you, get in here and play with this because this is where you're gonna learn the drill down questions too. Like when I click diabetes, no complications, then it's asking me his last treatment. Well, he's diabetic, so he's still being treated. When was he diagnosed? Because if I put 2023, is it uncontrolled in the last 6 months? No. Is he on insulin? No. Nope, it's not uncontrolled. No, it's not type 1. Like you're gonna get familiar with those. And I click, oh, hold on. I was on 10-year. Say I do 20-year. Oh yeah, see, even just from 10-year to 20-year. Americo is my only option. because he was just diagnosed last year. Now, if I do 10 years, now suddenly Americo isn't an option, but American Amicable and Mutual of Omaha are. Now, if I go back and I edit this, date of last treatment, and I say he was diagnosed in 2015, much long ago, and I answer everything else the same, he's gonna have more options. Oh, maybe, oh, you know what? No, it's because his birthday, he's 68, hold on. He had limited options to begin with. Let's try that again.
10-year.
Yeah, there's something it's not liking. Why is it?
It's probably the dollar amount, 25,000.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's probably got a minimum. Let's do 100,000. I forgot we're in term. Hold on, did I? And maybe, did I select 2014? How old would he have been? That makes a difference too. Let's say 2000. He's only 34. That's what it is. Okay, let's do. Date of diagnosis. Let's say he was diagnosed 2015. So that's what 2000. That was 9 years ago. So 44 minus 9. No, that's still putting him under. No, okay, he's not under age 30. Okay. Yeah, now I have a little bit more options. Forrester's is the best with diabetics on insulin. Forrester's are the best with diabetics, period. If it has a little eye right here, it's going to tell you what living benefits are built in. So I can click on it. I know pretty much all of these have, well, see, United Home Life doesn't have chronic and critical. Theirs only has terminal. Where the top two have all 3 living benefits. This one's warning me, but it's just telling me that Forrester's doesn't have their diabetic calculator built in, which is fine. But just get familiar and get in here and play around with it. You can't break anything. Just do not customize carriers. Somebody went in and removed some carriers. Don't do that and don't change the password because it's the same one everybody uses. So if you change anything, you're changing it for everyone.
Missy, I think she got logged out.
Oh. Well then.
Jory, stop.
All right. Dylan and Miriam, you guys are free to go. Jason, you're free to go if you want, but I
Okay.
think you should stay on. No.
Only other thing,
Oh, go ahead.
I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to touch on, I don't have Prosperity yet.
I don't either.
Did you guys do benchmark? That one's through benchmark.
No. No.
You got to do the benchmark. It's through
How do we
benchmark.
do benchmark?
You should have got emails. Let me see.
I didn't. I looked in 3 different emails.
Yeah.
And did you look in your spam? Because some of them went to spam.
I might not. I might have to go to spam, but I never got them.
Yeah, so for Miriam, I don't see where they sent it to you.
I don't see it either. And I thought it was just a question of time.
And Dylan, I don't see either one of yours either. Okay. Dylan and Miriam both. All right. I'm sending Adam an email right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for accommodating me. That worked out. Excited.
Take
Yeah.
care, Miriam.
I'll email you the recording
Okay,
too.
Thank you. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Take
And
care,
then,
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
and Missy, just one last thing before I go.
Yeah.
Are you still getting weird Facebook leads?
I just turned mine on last week, so I haven't yet. Are you?
Okay. I just got one last night at like 11, and it could be a real one, could not be, but it was Cal Rolak, but it's all like one name. Like it's not the 2 separate names, and I have the thing for 2 separate names, but I'm gonna call it through the CRM and see what happens.
Okay.
So I'll keep you updated on it.
Okay. Yep. Keep me updated.
Awesome.
Perfect.
All
And
right.
then I just sent Adam a thing to get you guys those.
Sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry, my computer went out, but I'm back. They emailed me back about the error I was getting, and so I'm gonna try and complete the rest of the application now.
Okay, perfect. All right. You're free to go. I'm gonna send you the recording because I'm gonna see on and I gotta run some quotes with Kevin here.